Hello, you are listening to From Maclay to Zama. I'm your host, Karen Miller. This podcast is about the adventures of two women from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who worked for the U.S. Army at Camp Zama, Japan, from 1953 to 1955. Their stories are told through hundreds of letters written home. Episode 40, letters 126 to 130. I had so much fun with these letters. First of all, I love it when Bern and Peg write descriptively about the same event. So in this set of letters, they both talk about going to visit General's Row and some new houses that were being built for the generals there. But Bern clearly prefers the airfield and wants to talk about airplanes, and Peg wants to talk about how ritzy the house is. So I also like when they talk about movies, and I look them up and check to see whether I can stream them. I would really love to see the one they talk about this week called About Mrs. Leslie, but it doesn't seem to be available right now. I think you can buy it, but you can't stream it. And it has a young Harry Morgan in it, so we got another MASH connection. Bern has a birthday and is thrilled to receive the new game Scrabble from her brother and his family. I wasn't sure why she mentioned that it was hard to find. She was going to ask for it. So I did a little research and found out that it was originally invented in 1931 and was called Crisscross. It was redesigned and named Scrabble in 1948 and sold in Britain to begin with. It was licensed in 1952 to a company who could meet the higher demand for it. And by 1954, 4 million sets were sold, and they were still in demand and selling out as soon as they came in. So I remember that Bern tried to get me into the game when I was a kid, and I just never enjoyed it. Maybe if she had told me the story, I would have given it a chance. And finally, there are 6 more letters after this episode until they climb Mount Fuji. Yes! Of course, I've been looking forward to this part from the very beginning of the project, and I can't wait. Well, let's get on with letters 126 to 130. 126 was written the 1st of July, 1954. Dearest Pa and Ma, guess what? The sun is shining, and right smack in the middle of the rainy season, too. What do you know about that? Last night after work, Peg, Gladys, and I went to Yokohama to eat at Original Joe's. I'm still thinking about how good that everything was. For under 650 yen, which is $2, I had a filet mignon, potatoes, vegetable salad, all the Italian bread I could eat, and coffee. Not bad, huh? We each had a glass of Chianti wine before eating because it comes in a very interesting and pretty bottle, and Gladys and I are in the process of collecting them all. All this is served in an atmosphere of candlelight, red checkered tablecloths, and Italian-type songs played on an excellent loudspeaker system. A romantic spot, and one all 3 of us love. The film Martin Luther is coming to the movie right here at camp. Isn't that wonderful? The sign doesn't tell when, and both Peg and I are hoping it will not be over this weekend when we will be away. You wrote in such glowing terms of it, and other folks have mentioned it as being extra special, so we certainly hope that we get the chance to see it. We're glad the box arrived in good shape and that you enjoyed your surprise. Peg and I had a lot of fun getting it ready. The Kyoto pictures, which we recently took, are rather good, too, mostly of the lovely gardens which abound in that area. Ginny Belts introduced me to a very fine ensign the other evening, and he wants both of us to fly down to Kyoto with him, since he has never been there. He was impressed by our pictures and is really enthused about the place. Although we could do it over a weekend by the time saved in flying, I don't think I'm interested because there would be the expense of hotel and meals, and I've been there twice. The chance to fly is a temptation, though, because I've never been up and I really want to. Maybe I'll be seeing more of this guy, I hope, and he will take me some other place. Besides being able to secure a plane, he has a Studebaker convertible for on the ground, a real smooth car. All this, and he is a wonderfully nice guy, too, which probably adds up to the fact that I'll never see him again. As I told you before, the ones I don't like me, and vice versa. Oh well, I'm developing a philosophical attitude toward the whole business. Being a firm believer in, if you don't have anything to say, keep quiet, I'm going to end this letter right now. Perhaps the enclosures will make up for the briefness. I was interested in the clipping because it seemed one of the few valid arguments for labor unions. Next letter will have more to report after our weekend trip. Talk to you soon, love, Bern. Letter 127 from Peg, written the 6th of July, 1954. Happy birthday, Mama-san. Dear Mother and Daddy, I'm crushed. You know why? Well, I was going to call you by telephone tonight to wish you many happy returns. So then I tried to put in the call from here in the billet, and the Japanese phone company won't accept a call on an Army phone unless the charges are reversed. In order to call from camp, the call has to be placed in the overseas office, paid for. Then the call can come through on any designated phone. So I called the overseas office, and they're closed. Well, it was a good idea, wasn't it? So I'm $12 richer, but I sure wish we could have surprised you, Mom. Anyhow, I hope you had a good birthday. It's 48 now, isn't it? We had a fine time at Fuji View. Surprisingly, the weather was lovely until Monday, and we spent most of the time outdoors in the sun. Bern's getting a nice tan. She's taken off work every time the sun shines. And I get a skosh bit red, but not even enough to hurt. We went out on the lake in a motorboat, took a Japanese bath, the three of us together in the hotel, danced, took Taku-san pictures, which we will send to you, and had a grand time. Met some real nice fellas too, but we were glad to see the last of them when Monday rolled around. Gee, this hate man thing is really persisting with me, isn't it? But it's such a relief. We decided not to go to Hong Kong because it's just too much of a financial struggle trying to save enough money out of our pay and not dip into our savings at home. We can buy almost everything we wanted to buy in Hong Kong right here in Japan. The Orient is the Orient, whether it's Japan, China, or India. We would rather be able to afford to go more places in Japan instead of passing them up for a few days in Hong Kong. See, do you agree? Besides, with the crazy mixed-up world the way it is, travel will probably be restricted to Hong Kong and Bangkok by Christmas anyhow. Don't mention that to Aunt Ellen, though. She might worry if she hasn't started worrying now. It's a mess, isn't it? Mother, we just screamed when you wrote to us about Liberace. Gladys, Bern, and I really shook the rafters up at the club tonight over it. We've never seen him, but we're sure we sure have been hearing a lot about him from people newly arrived from the States and from letters from home. The reason we aren't taking many pictures of ourselves is because we don't like to waste color film on us and our friends. I'm going to put in a roll of black and white as soon as I finish the roll that's in my camera. And then we'll send you some pictures of us and our buddies. We'll take some pictures of us in our beach chairs too, providing the sun shines over a weekend while we're in camp. Daddy, you're a buster playing miniature golf. More Scoshi, you'll be taking up the game in a big way. Why don't you do that and give Mark and Em some competition? Saturday's the big day, only 365 more to go after that. A bunch of us are going to eat together up at the club. Gladys is invited as an honorary member because she's going home with us next July, even though her contract will be up in April. Job's okay. Don't feel much like writing, so I'll write again this week. Fine and stuff, me. Letter 128 from Bern, written the 9th of July, 1954. Enclosed is a handwritten recipe for Japanese chicken soup. Dear folks, I'm still glowing from the effects of the very enjoyable holiday weekend. 2 days of sunshine and rest and fun in every way. Something that pleases me very much is the fact that over here, the good old sun turns me brown instead of red and blistery. Isn't that wonderful? Actually having a tan. Hooray. For 2 days over the weekend, we sunbathed on a tiled platform, which we have a sneaking suspicion covers some shogun's body. The platform overlooked beautiful Lake Yamanaka, with Fuji-san just rising on the far side. However, clouds obscured the volcano completely the entire time we were there. Sailboats, motorboats, rowboats, and pleasure launches from the hotel dotted the lake. Horses for riding were stabled nearby. Archery, badminton, and tennis equipment was available for hotel guests, and the fine weather made the whole out of doors a wonderful playground for the many boys who were on rest leave at the hotel or visiting from bases here in Japan. It was a typical resort place with facilities and service, which I would have been hard-pressed to afford back home. We especially enjoyed the dining room service with fresh linen, sparkling silver and glasses, flowers on every table, and for the evening meals, the little Japanese waitresses in traditional kimonos instead of uniforms. This is the same place we spent Christmas, and our second visit was certainly not one bit disappointing. Last night, 5 of us from the office went to the Lockwoods home for dinner. I'm enclosing the recipe and directions for a particularly good chicken soup, which started the meal. Then we had excellent barbecue beef, baked potatoes, sauerkraut, asparagus, a lime green jello salad, and chocolate bread pudding for dessert, eaten in a candlelit dining room of a private home. It was a wonderful treat for me. 100% enjoyable. I taught 3-year-old Kathy a song, so now I'm invited back again on Sunday the 18th to help entertain at her birthday party. She's having about 7 Japanese playmates and a few American kids, so I'm really looking forward to the experience. Kathy, at 3, is bilingual. She chatters away gaily in Japanese to the maids and turns the next second to answer her mother in English. I got a big kick out of her. There's another little girl, Sherry. She's about 1.5, walking unsteadily and not saying a word. Kind of a miniature Kathy. They are both good children with sturdy little bodies, brown eyes, blonde long curls, and pug noses. The job becomes duller and more boring each day. Betty sailed for her stateside visit today, but I don't believe that will mean any more work for me because I did practically all the tangible mechanical parts of the job anyway. The only additional duties will be answering questions and giving advice on personnel matters, so that won't help much. I'm giving you all fair warning right now that whatever job I do find when I get home, it will not be civil service. I want some real hard, difficult job that I consider worthwhile. So in about 6 months, you can start keeping your ears and eyes open for prospects in the line of useful jobs, okay? The birthday box, which you mentioned, has not yet arrived, but that's okay. It will merely help to stretch out the celebration. Peggy bought me a darling pink and gray short-length housecoat, and Miriam sent a blouse and jewelry. Pete sent the beautiful slip and novelty dog statue, and Jackie LeMay took me to lunch at the club that day. About 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the office folks had cake and ice cream in honor of the event. So it has been well remembered. The dressmaker has just completed a lovely white linen dress for me. It is cut very straight, has no sleeves, is stitched in black around the neck and diagonally on the waist, has black buttons halfway down, and fits perfectly, and worn with my black and white shoes makes a right smart appearance, if I must say so. I've had a red linen jacket made also to wear if the weather is cool, but I like the fit of the dress so well, I hate to cover the effect. Vain, huh? Thank you, Papa San, for sending the little license tag. It's nice to know what number belongs to that little old green Hornet. I haven't gone to Yokohama yet to get my permit, but I do want to take care of that in case Owen lets me drive his convertible sometime. Of course, I'm joking. There is much chance of that as me flying to the moon. However, I forgot to tell you before, but I sent money, a postal order, to Chapter for the building fund. It's perfectly okay, however, that you spent some of my bank account. I can afford $10 instead of $5. I certainly spent that much foolishly every payday. We are both real glad to hear of your goings-on with the television and the trips here and there. Please keep it up and have Taka-san fun. Nobody deserves it more than you two. I do hope you had a happy birthday, Helen. I know our box would not have arrived in time, but maybe this week it will get there. Peg had the brainstorm of calling you, but by the time we actually made up our minds, it was evening, and we found out from the operator that we cannot place an overseas call from an army phone. So we would have to go down to the village and perhaps wait several hours. Peg was most disappointed, but to tell the truth, I was somewhat relieved. I got awfully homesick right after we talked to you at Christmas. Really shook up I was. It's time for lunch now, so after I type the recipe for you, I will close. Bushels of love, Bern. Letter 123B. I guess we had a numbering issue. This one's from Bern, written the 12th of July, 1954. Hi, chums. Hooray. We have passed the halfway mark, and now, according to all the old-timers, the time will fly by even more rapidly than during the past year. Saturday evening, a few of us who came over on the ship together celebrated the occasion by eating together at the club. Not very exciting, but full of reminiscence about life at the New Richmond in Seattle and on board ship, things we had forgotten about during all these months. I had absolutely nothing planned for Saturday and was wondering how I would spend the day, but it turned out to be a most interesting one. Peg worked in the morning, But I met her, Gladys, and Kathy Huff for lunch. When we finished, Kathy, who has a beat-up old convertible, said, "Let's take a grand tour of Camp Zama. I'm sure there are buildings and places I've never seen." We all agreed, so off we started. Out along the golf course road, a new settlement called, by the GIs, General's Row, is being built. This consists of some 20 or 25 large and very beautiful houses being planned for all the top brass. And we currently have almost 20 generals floating around this headquarters. Poor Mr. and Mrs. General San have only about 12 rooms, 3 baths, 2 maids' rooms with a bath, beautiful flagstone patio, etc. A shame, huh? Then we went on to the new Officers Club, which is under construction. A very plush, modern designed affair. We were lucky enough to meet the club officer and his girl, who were also touring the place, so he could explain in detail just what was going to be where. Very interesting, and we feel like we have scooped the other folks, but we'll have to wait until it is open sometime in October or November to find out the score. We next paid a short visit to the new female billets, which are being thrown up on this side of the camp, but all of us decided that our own T107 is a much cozier, better laid out building. The new ones are made of cement with a lot of tile work inside, and as a result, have a colder, more institutional air. So we're not going to put our bids in to move. But wait, the best part of the afternoon's tour is yet to come. We passed the airstrip where the light planes and helicopters are based. We got out of the car to stand and see what was happening, if anything. After we were there a while, a major came out of the operations building and asked if we would be interested in touring the entire field. Of course, we were all delighted, so he arranged for a PFC to take us around. We saw the entire Far East Command. We went up a million stairs into the control tower and heard pilots talking to one another from plane to plane. We saw millions of dollars worth of mysterious and unexplained radar equipment, visited the maintenance hangar, and had the interior workings of a plane motor explained to us. For a joke, of course, because the little corporal who talked to us knew darn well we hadn't the faintest idea what he was saying. We did our best to wrangle a free ride from someone, but I guess our apple polishing technique needs to be improved because we were unsuccessful. All in all, it was a most interesting afternoon. Sunday at Gray Ladies, guess what we did? Made homemade ice cream in an old-fashioned freezer, then took it and homemade Toll House cookies and coffee around to all the bed patients. The fellows who were able to be up and around got the greatest kick out of turning the freezer, supplying the ice, etc. Several of them mentioned that it took them back to childhood days at home, and I felt the same way. Whenever is the last time we made ice cream in a freezer? As a project, it was a huge success, and the results were greatly enjoyed by everyone. From the hospital, I went into Yokohama and met Peg and Gladys for a wonderful Sunday supper at the German restaurant we had previously mentioned. Yes, of course, we ate sauerbraten and sauerkraut and overstuffed ourselves as usual. But it was so good. Time out. Do you know what that time out was for? To open my birthday box from all of you, dear people. What a pleasant surprise. The fact that it arrived on a Monday morning made it even better than usual. The umbrella is simply beautiful. I'm tempted to look for material for a dress to match it because it is my shade of blue. I have thought many times of writing to ask you all to send me a set of Scrabble, but I thought with Helen's bum knee, it would be an imposition to ask her to shop, and I understand they sell as fast as the stock arrives. She might have had to go to several stores before finding a set. And now just see, lo and behold, you are mind readers and sent me a set anyway. Thanks a million. I've already played one time over at the hospital, but I was interrupted before the boy could really explain thoroughly. Our friend Gladys especially will be a Scrabble buddy, I feel for sure, because she likes words, reading, crossword puzzles, all that sort of thing. This comes at a very good time because we are starting a wholesale economy and austerity program and are going to save money. So this will help to amuse us during our increasingly frequent evenings at home. You couldn't have made a better choice. And you are absolutely wonderful to remember my favorite crackers. Thanks a million for everything. I will write to the other folks directly and thank them as well. Did you make the suggestion of Scrabble to the MEs, or was it their own idea? All the girls who have been here for a long time drooled over the mesh stockings because they are absolutely unobtainable in the PX. I'm wearing the jewelry because it goes perfectly with the dress I happen to wear today. By the way, Helen, it is that printed dress with green leaves that I only brought with me on your insistence that it might come in handy. Go ahead, say I told you so. I don't mind. I'm going to close now, although I feel like chatting some more, because in 15 minutes the mail will be picked up, and I want to be sure to have this ready to go. Barrels of love to both of you, Bern. P.S. Major Dreyer, our boss, said he played Scrabble almost every free evening in Korea. It was a big help to them. He's going to advise me as to the rules. Letter 129, written on the 12th of July, 1954. Dear Mother and Daddy, well, that first year is now under our belt. Isn't it wonderful? Now we can say only 11 more to go, etc. We're planning as of now to start buying things in earnest to take home with us. Since we're not going to Hong Kong, we will be able to buy something every payday, I hope. We've discovered a shop in the Golden Dragon that sells things from Hong Kong, slippers, pajamas, linens, hankies, etc. So we're really not disappointed at all about not making the trip to Hong Kong. It's such a grand feeling to have that first year in back of us, and I only hope the second year goes by as quickly. Sometimes we get extremely disgusted with this crazy life and say that we're coming home. But by the time we'd resign, get passage, 3 or 4 months would go by, and then it would be just plain stupid and extravagant to come home before next July. I really miss all of you folks sometimes, especially on Sundays. Friday night, we went to another horrible movie. I worked Saturday morning, my first time in the office on my own. It went very well, and I was so unbusy, I almost fell asleep. I'll work another Saturday morning in 3 more weeks, then I can have a whole day off. Nice, huh? Saturday afternoon started out to be just a blah blah. Gladys, Bern, and I went over to North Camp to go to the PX and shop around. We ran into Kathy, who has a car, and we all went to the airstrip here at camp. There's a flight detachment here at headquarters. They operate light aircraft and helicopters, mostly to transport VIPs and carry light cargo. They also make photography runs. We have met some of the pilots, but we had never been to the airstrip before. We were standing at the edge of the runway, drooling over the helicopters, because we all like to have a ride in one of them. And a Major Briggs came over, introduced himself, and asked us if we would like to have a tour around the detachment. We sure did. So PFC gave us a guided tour through the administrative buildings, the hangar, and showed us the inside of the various planes. Most interesting. We also went up the tower that is a vital part of every airstrip, where they gave us directions and instructions, and where they give instructions to the planes as they take off and land. We all enjoyed it a lot. Then we went down the road a piece and went through one of the houses on General's Row. 20-some houses are being built for the AFFE generals on a piece of ground all by itself away from the rest of the hoi polloi. The houses are in various stages of completion, and are they ever dreamy? They have bedrooms with connecting baths, 2 maid rooms with a bath, a large kitchen, massive living room opening onto a patio, dining area, closets, tons of them, complete with lamps to keep away mildew, a lovely fireplace, and just any number of nice features. We sure feel sorry for any general who gets assigned to AFFE. Don't see how they can stand to live in such miserable hovels. Then we came back down to North Camp and went through the new officers' club that is being built. It's going to be just beautiful, but we still like our little old crowded beat-up club at the top of Cardiac Hill. However, all this new construction is going on because everyone is moving out here to Zama, and we must keep up appearances, you know. We found out that the Japanese government is paying for all this construction, and when we leave Japan, they will have a wonderful outfit here. Then we went through one of the new DAC billets just recently completed. Golly, I'm staying right where I am. There are 4 showers on one floor, which will house approximately 30 girls. Can you see the rush at 5 o'clock on Friday night? Besides, the whole building looks like one at a penitentiary. No one lives in the building as yet. We stood in the hallway, and it seemed as though, at any minute, a bell would sound, the doors would clang open, and the matron would holler at the inmates to fall in for inspection, chow, or labor detail. No thanks. I'll stay in my room 1:30. Anyhow, we enjoyed the afternoon of sightseeing, and of course we picked everything apart because it was one of our griping days. Saturday night we went to see the movie About Mrs. Leslie with Shirley Booth, and we were very glad to see a decent picture for a change. Then we went up to the club to eat and reminisce about our first year here. Yesterday, the 4 of us went to church. Kathy hadn't been to church since she got here, but Gladys asked her to join us. She was just as impressed with Chaplain Whipple as we are, and said that church going is on her regular program from now on. He had an excellent sermon on the passage in the Bible about not removing the mote from our neighbor's eye until we remove the mote from our own, or until we move the beam from our own. Golly, did we ever squirm. He also brought into the sermon about not criticizing our neighbors and not gossiping, and we all felt like 2 cents. Then we went up to the club for breakfast, and to tell you how the sermon made us feel, we were at a loss for conversation for a while, because we all made up our minds not to be catty about other people. That's really awful, isn't it? But I mean to stick by my good resolution. If only Chaplain Whipple would preach to me every day, I think I would be a much better person. But it's so long between Sundays, full of gripes and frustrations, that I usually forget what he said by the time Friday rolls around. Then when we go away over weekends and I don't get to church, I'm really in need of him and his good words when I do get to church. It's such an easy habit to get into, to sit and criticize and make fun of other people, and it's a disgusting and hateful thing to do. But I'll give you an example. Saturday night, there were 6 of us at our table, all girls, and we sang one song that Smiley and his orchestra played. We sang it all together with great exuberance, and the woman at the next table said, they must be DACs. We overheard her, and then we all started in on how we can't stand dependents. So that's how it goes. But I'm going to cease as of now. By the way, I still don't think it will be necessary for you to get any halo polish for me next July, because I'll still be a million miles away from being St. Margaret. My job is going along very well. I feel like part of the team now, and everyone here is so grand about explaining things to me and filling me in on the background of any project of which I'm in doubt. They are very informal and most pleasant to work with. Gladys called me one day when I was busy, and Colonel Snavely, the one from Lancaster, answered the phone. He was his usual helpful self and asked her if it would be possible for him to take a message. She told me later that he sounded like a grand person. So I told him the next day because he asked me whether Gladys was my sister. And I told him, no, she's a friend, and she wanted to know whether you were really as nice as you sound. Then I told him that I told Gladys that he was really a Simon Legree and carried a big black whip around with him all the time. So he said, yeah, that's right. Just tell Gladys that you can really be fooled by telephone voices. I like him a lot. He's my favorite colonel. The mail should be here soon, so I'll finish this right after I read your letter. Last week, I only got your letter, no others, so I'm really looking forward to some mail today. By the way, Gladys, Bern, and I went into Yoko last night and ate at Hans's. We had sauerbraten, sauerkraut, and the best fried potatoes I've ever eaten. Also salad, dark bread, and tea. It was good. Just as long as Joe and Hans's stay in business, I'll be reasonably happy with my eating. Since we get slightly homesick on Sundays, we all talked about our families and how we'd spend Sundays at home making pizza, Daddy playing records, reading the funnies, and then the doorbell would ring and the place would start jumping. Oh boy, won't it be grand. Darn, I didn't get your letter today, but I did get one from Doris Rattle, so I must answer it. Take care of yourselves and have fun. Talk us in love, Peg. Letter 130 from Peg, written the 19th of July, 1954. Dear Mother and Daddy, I changed my typewriter ribbon. Looks pretty nice, huh? Well, I had a pretty fine weekend. Last week we didn't do anything too exciting. Went to a farewell party for a lucky gal who went home on Saturday. We didn't go out of camp all week because mainly it rained all week. I'm telling you, this rain is enough to get the best of anybody. It's rained almost every day since the first week in June. When we do have sunshine, it always happens on a weekday, never over a weekend. The rainy season was supposed to be over the 10th of July, then the 16th, and now they say it will be over tomorrow. I doubt it. Right now it isn't raining, but it's hazy and cloudy, and we'll probably have more rain soon. We've been sleeping under 2 and 3 woolen blankets, wearing sweaters over our cotton dresses, and it's most uncomfortable. The other day, over the wire releases, we read that a Japanese scholar of what I don't know has said he can prove the extended rainy season here and the freakish weather all over the world is due to the A and H bomb tests being done everywhere. Frankly, I believe him, because as far as the weather over here is concerned, it even amazes the locals as to the cold, rainy season and the length of it. And we've got reports that the weather back there has been unbearably hot, 112 degrees in Missouri. What's this world coming to anyhow? Well, now that we had discussed the weather, I'll get on to the other things. Friday night, we had a terrific party over at Atsugi. Even the veteran party goers, which is the Marines, said it was the best one yet. I worked on Saturday morning for Mary Carrera because she had an attack of food poisoning on Friday and was too weak to go into work. So now I have a full day off coming to me, and I think I'll take it if and when the sun comes out, and I will sit on my beach chair. Or maybe I'll go to Yokosuka to the ship store. Or maybe I'll spend the day shopping in Yokohama. Or maybe I'll just stay in bed. Haven't decided yet. Saturday, we went over to Atsugi to the ship store and sat beside the pool for a while. But the sun just teased us and never did come out. Saturday night, we had another farewell party for one of the girls who came over with us, who's being transferred to Korea. We had a pretty good time. Yesterday, we went to church, and in spite of the stupid weather, sat out front in our beach chairs. Bern went to Tokyo to a birthday party for one of her friends had for her little girl, so she didn't join us. In fact, the weather was so miserable that we got cold sitting outside, and this was the 18th of July. Last night, we went over to the Yokohama Engineering Depot Officers Club to eat and came home. It was a pretty good weekend. I just love that picture of Leanie. She is a doll, isn't she? Golly, I sure will have to get reacquainted with the younger set, I guess, with Nancy growing up so fast and the little Emmys getting so big. I'm very anxious to see them in person, as I am you too. I just got some work to do, but the bosses are out for lunch, so I'll type a little more. So Jim got married again. Well, I truly hope he's happy, but I sure don't envy the gal. However, with two small people besides a wife to think about. But does he ever think about anyone but himself? Maybe he'll become an adult. Needless to say, though, I doubt it, too, but you never can tell. Maybe he's cut out to be a family man. I'll wind this up for now, because I don't have anything interesting to write. I got a letter today from one of the good friends I made over here, and she says she has broken up with her husband. She was married for 6 weeks, broke up, then made up for 2 more weeks, and now is broken up for good. She's quite a mixed-up person and says that Bern and I are her only family now, because she always said I was her little sister. It's a darn shame. You can't appreciate how sad it is unless you know Kit. However, to quote her, c'est la vie. Well, I'll wind this up now, really. More tonight. Just had a long talk with Bern, finished a letter to Kit, and I'm about to do some reading. I really don't have anything interesting to say, so I'll stick this in an envelope and mail it. And I'm glad to hear that Mark and Sis got an apartment and will be settled again. Golly, though, don't you miss the kids? But it isn't so far up there as it was to Buffalo, which is a good thing. I am not getting fat, please tell Mark. I always did look like a barrel in a photograph, and that one is no exception. On second thought, maybe I'd better weigh myself and see whether I'm speaking too soon. Aunt Gert and Uncle Gus look pleased as punch in the photo, and I'm glad for them. Good night for now. I'll write again this week if anything exciting happens. Talk us in love, Peg. Talk us in love, Peg. So, there's always little things that surprise me in these letters, and in this one, I found out that Peg's ex-husband, Jim, supposedly remarried to a woman who had 2 children. Never heard that before. Unfortunately, I also keep finding things out which I didn't know, that I wish I didn't know about the men in Peg's life. It seems a quick search of his 1954 marriage led me to the news that the woman he married had a son with Jim's last name who was born in 1952. Now, he could have been adopted, but we know that Jim and Peg were married in April of 1949, and they did not get divorced until sometime in 1953. So, now maybe we know why, or maybe we don't. I have hit a surprising roadblock in my research this time around. I can't find any proof that he was ever married, no marriage license. The only thing that says anywhere that he had a wife was that she applied for his military grave marker after his death in the 1970s. But using her name, I can't find a marriage license, newspaper reference. Her obituary does not say she was married. It says she's just that she had 5 grandchildren. He was buried in one cemetery with his family, and when she died about 30 years later, she was buried elsewhere. Detailed census data stops at the 1950 census and won't be available until the 2030s. So that's not help. And when she passed, her obituary doesn't mention him. I can't find his obituary at all, although I remember his death because I was in Harrisburg that summer when it occurred. He was in Florida. I don't know if he was living in Florida or just working there. I don't know if he and that woman that may or may not have been his wife were married, if they were divorced or separated or together. So for now, more questions about this particular mystery than answers. I suspect there may be more hints in future letters, and I will continue this line of research until I get an answer. One thing I do know, women in my family are strong, and this is just another example of it, I guess. I don't think my mom, who was around 10 when Peg got married, ever knew why they broke up. She certainly never told me. She did think Jim was just wonderful. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and if you are, please subscribe in Spotify. On Apple Podcasts, hit the plus button in the top right-hand corner and rate. This will help my listeners find my podcast more easily. You can access the show's website at www.FromMcClayToZama.com, where I've posted photos and links from the episodes. The podcast is now available on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Patreon, and Amazon as well. New episodes will be available each Friday morning. The letters were written by my aunts Bern and Peg, transcribed by me. I write and record the show and have created the artwork and original music. Our producer is Zeke, our sound engineer is intern Sylvie, and the security is provided by intern Frey. Thanks to my great-grandparents, John and Helen, who loved us all and thought it was a good idea to save the letters. All rights reserved, 2024.